There is something happening in the homestead that you still cannot explain with words. A scent that appears for no reason in the middle of the living room, with no apparent source. A light that flickers only in your room, even after you've changed the bulb 3 times. A cold wind that cuts through the hallway when all the windows are shut. A soft sound, almost a whisper, exactly at the moment you close your eyes to sleep. And that sudden feeling of presence, as if someone were standing by your side, watching you in silence. But you know deep in your soul that it isn't frightening. It is familiar. It is recognition. And that is exactly what is bothering you. It is not the fear of the unknown that disturbs you. It is the recognition of something that has always been there, watching, waiting, protecting, and which has now decided to manifest itself in a way that you can no longer ignore. These phenomena occurring within your walls are not random events. They are not coincidences. They are not your tired imagination. They are not the wind hitting the window or the structure of the homestead creaking in the cold. They are smoke signals, ancient, encoded signals, transmitted in a language that has existed since before the creation of time, sent by the guardians assigned to watch over the homestead, your family, your blood, your lineage. And at this very moment, as you read these words, these luminous beings are trying to communicate with you in every way possible. They are burning invisible incense to get your attention. They are lighting silent bonfires in the corners of your home. They are releasing columns of light that only the called can perceive, because something great is about to happen to you, something that will change the destiny of your family forever. And they do not want you to be caught off guard. You need to understand something that few have the courage to say. There is an invisible war happening above the attic of the homestead at this very instant. A battle that is not metaphorical, not symbolic, not merely religious. It is real. It is concrete on the spiritual plane. There are forces assigned to destroy the homestead, to corrupt your family, to extinguish the light that lives within your blood. And there are forces assigned to defend. And when these two fronts meet above your home, the sky trembles, the air grows dense, animals become restless for no reason. Children wake up crying in the middle of the night, objects fall on their own, pictures shift from their places, and you feel in your chest a tightness that has no medical explanation. Because you are the centerpiece of this war. You are not observing the conflict from the outside, you are inside it. And the guardians are using these smoke signals to warn you that the time has come for you to take your post, raise your shield, and fulfill the role for which you were sent to this earth. Most people will die without ever deciphering these signals. They will attribute everything to chance, to a tired mind, to the stress of daily life. They will ignore the scent that appears from nowhere, the flickering light, the dream that repeats itself 3 times in the same week. And they will lose the greatest spiritual opportunity of their lives. But you are different. You are here, reading this, precisely because something inside you refused to ignore it. Something inside you knows that this narrative, this text, this moment, did not reach you by chance. And that is what separates the called from the rest. The ability to recognize when heaven is speaking directly to you. And that is exactly why I have prepared a powerful digital book for you, the Family Protector's Holy Handbook, because the smoke signals that the guardians send to your home are only the visible layer of a much deeper communication system, a system that has rules, codes, symbols, and specific timings that no one has ever taught you. This digital book is the map that shows exactly how to decipher every signal that is appearing in the homestead at this moment, what every scent means, what every flickering light represents, what message is embedded in every recurring dream, and which specific guardians are assigned to protect your lineage and how to activate them through prayer, spiritual posture, and daily attitude. It reveals which entities are trying to enter through the back door of the homestead, the loopholes they use, and how you, as one of the called, can seal these breaches forever. The link is pinned in the first comment at the top, and I must warn you with all honesty, this type of knowledge directly challenges narratives that many systems have an interest in keeping intact, because a sealed, protected, and conscious family is a family that can no longer be manipulated. There have already been attempts to take this content down. There has been pressure to silence these revelations, and that is why I cannot guarantee how long the material will remain available. Do not wait for the perfect moment. because the perfect moment is exactly now one of the called. You did not arrive here by accident. Download it now and comment, "I am one of the called, and I am going to download the guide." This simple act of faith is the first seal of protection over the homestead. Now that you have made the decision to act, I can reveal something even deeper to you, and this is the truth that will frighten you when you understand the real dimension of what is happening around you. The smoke signals that the guardians send are not given for free. They do not happen in any home at any time in any lineage. There is a criterion, there is a selection. There is a spiritual mark that must be present upon a family for heaven to move with such intensity. And this mark is what they call in the most ancient texts, the seal of the called. It is an inherited spiritual signature, etched in the blood, that passes from generation to generation, even when no one can recognize it anymore. Perhaps your grandmother had prophetic dreams and no one gave it importance. Perhaps your great-grandfather could predict the death of those close to him days before it happened. Perhaps your mother feels things that no one can explain. All these are fragments of the same seal passing through the generations until it reaches you in its most mature version, at the exact moment in history when this gift needs to be activated. But here is the problem that no one tells you. When the seal of the called manifests with intensity over a family, it attracts not only protection from above, it also attracts attention from below, because everything that shines in the spiritual realm is seen. And everything that is seen is also targeted. That is why the homes of the called often experience strange phenomena more frequently. That is why the children of the called go through trials that other children do not. That is why your family may have faced consecutive tragedies, inexplicable illnesses, internal fights that appear out of nowhere, scarcity that makes no sense considering how much you work. It is not a genetic curse. It is not random ancestral karma. It is the price of carrying a light that bothers the kingdom of darkness, and the guardians know this. That is why they intensify the signals. That is why they appear with more strength in homes that are under more intense attack. These smoke signals function as advance warnings, like silent celestial sirens. When you feel that inexplicable chill run down your spine in the heat, it is the guardian warning you that something is approaching. When you dream of the same person 3 nights in a row for no reason, it is the guardian showing you a spiritual door that needs to be closed. When the smell of flowers invades the environment without any flowers being nearby, it is the confirmation that your prayer has been heard and heaven is responding. When you hear your name being called in a soft voice and no one around heard it, it is the guardian telling you that that exact instant is a portal of decision. And each of these signals has a specific meaning, a specific guidance, a specific answer that must be given for the protection to be completed. Most people miss these signs because they are too distracted by the noise of the world. They are looking down at their phones, at material worries, at gossip, at social media, at everything that has no eternal value whatsoever. And meanwhile, the guardians are lighting warning fires atop the homestead, and they do not lift their eyes. You are different. You are noticing. You are feeling. You are understanding. And that is why heaven will intensify its communication with you even more in the coming weeks. Prepare yourself, because what comes next is too great to be ignored. There is still a layer that few have access to, and it concerns the reason why the guardians chose your particular home and not another as such an intense point of manifestation. It is not random. It is not by luck. It is because your home carries what the ancient texts call the spiritual coordinate of the calling. Every home in the world has a frequency. Some are neutral, others are blocked, others are corrupted. But some rare homes, scattered across the corners of the earth, were marked since before the foundation of time as strategic points of the divine plan. Homes where people with specific missions would be born. Homes where decisive spiritual battles would take place. Homes that would function as lighthouses amidst the growing darkness of the end times. And you are living in one of these homes. Perhaps you have never thought about it, but the exact location where you sleep every night was chosen. The floor where your feet tread in the morning was marked. The roof over which the guardians hover at this instant was designated. You did not choose this address randomly. You were led to it. And that is why I insist that you have not yet grasped the depth of the digital book, the Family Protector's Holy Handbook. This material is not generic. It is not a collection of common prayers. It is not just another book about faith. It teaches, specifically, how to map the spiritual frequency of your home, how to identify which angelical smoke signals are being emitted over your household in this exact period, and how to respond correctly so that this protection not only continues, but multiplies over every member of your family. It reveals who the spiritual adversaries assigned to tear down marked homes like yours are, what tactics they use, in which rooms they prefer to settle when they manage to enter, and how to expel them definitively through specific spiritual gestures that the guardians teach you when you become receptive. The link is at the top of the comments, pinned, easy to find. But I repeat, this type of knowledge has already been the target of censorship attempts, because sealed families are free families, and free families do not consume, do not obey blindly, do not submit to subtle manipulations. This is uncomfortable content for certain systems. That is why it may be taken down at any moment. Download it now and comment, "I am one of the called, and I am going to download the guide." This comment is more than words. It is a decree. It is a signature. It is a yes to the calling you have been feeling for so long. Now that you have made this commitment, I can lead you to the deepest part of this revelation, and this is the part that will change the way you look at your own home for the rest of your life. There are angelical smoke signals that appear in the rooms for a specific reason, and each room of your home has a unique spiritual function that few understand. The kitchen, for example, is the energetic heart of the home. It is the place where the food that sustains the family's blood is prepared. And when the guardians send signals in the kitchen, such as objects falling on their own, the smell of freshly baked bread when no one is cooking, or that sensation of a benign presence while you wash the dishes, they are alerting you that there is an attempt at spiritual contamination upon the food in the homestead. This is not a metaphor. This is literal in the subtle plane. Thoughts of envy, words of cursing cast by ill-intentioned visitors, dense energies attempting to mingle with what your family consumes. All of this can be blocked if you recognize and respond to the smoke signals. The bedroom is another sacred territory, perhaps the most sacred of all. It is where the soul partially detaches from the body during sleep and travels through dimensions that the waking mind could never reach. When the guardians send signs in the bedroom, such as repetitive lucid dreams, a benevolent shadow passing quickly by the corner of your eye, or that sensation of being lightly touched on the shoulders upon waking, they are informing you that there are entities attempting to interfere with your astral plane during the night, and you must know with clarity that many of the decisive spiritual battles of your life occur while your body sleeps. You wake up tired, heavy, without energy, and attribute it to the routine. But in truth, your soul has been in combat until dawn. The guardians know this, and that is why they intensify signals in this room precisely when the attack is strongest. The living room is the room of togetherness, of words, of family convergence. When signs appear in the living room, such as the television turning on by itself, the remote changing places, a light flickering during a heated discussion, the guardians are showing you that there is a spiritual dispute over the emotional climate of the family. They are trying to pit members against members, create misunderstandings, foment old resentments, and the angelic sign is an invitation for you to assume the role of peacemaker, of sealer, of bearer of the light that neutralizes these invisible currents of conflict. Because a family divided internally is a family easily toppled externally. The washroom, perhaps the least understood spiritually, is the room of disposal. It is where you wash from your body the energies absorbed during the day, where water purifies layers that no one sees. When signs appear in the washroom, such as the mirror fogging up for no reason, a fleeting shadow in the corner, or a sudden perfume without origin, it is because the guardians are showing you that there are energies trying to cling to your astral body, and that the daily ritual of bathing with spiritual consciousness can become one of your most powerful weapons of protection. It is not an exaggeration. It is not empty mysticism. It is spiritual reality sustained by ancient traditions that were forgotten precisely so that humanity would remain vulnerable. And it is at this point that many of the called begin to understand that they carry a responsibility that goes far beyond themselves. You were not marked merely to protect yourself. You were marked to be the spiritual reference for your family. You are the lighthouse of your lineage in this time. It is your mother's prayer for her children. It is your grandfather's faith that still resonates in the ether. It is the silent decree of previous generations who bet that, at some point, someone would be born capable of transforming the spiritual history of that blood. And that someone is you. It was not your brother, it was not your cousin, it was not your brother-in-law, nor the neighbor, nor the friend from church, it was you. That is why the signs are so intense in your home specifically. That is why the guardians do not stop calling you, because they know the scale of the mission that rests upon your shoulders, even if you are still discovering it. And this mission unfolds into a reality that needs to be said without beating around the bush. The attacks against your family will not diminish, they will increase as you awaken. It is a spiritual law. The more you understand, the more the opposing side realizes they have lost an important piece on the board. And when an important piece awakens, the entire system tries to pull it back. This is the reason why many of the called, upon beginning their awakening, face waves of intense trials, children falling ill out of nowhere, marital arguments without no apparent motive, unexplainable layoffs, sequential accidents, illnesses that appear overnight. All of this is part of the counterattack, but the guardians do not abandon you in these moments. Quite the contrary. They intensify the smoke signals. They multiply the evidence. They confirm in 1,000 ways that they are there, even when the storm seems overwhelming. And you need to be prepared, equipped, with the right knowledge at the right time. That is why the digital book, The Family Protector's Holy Handbook, was written in a very specific way. It is not a book to be read all at once. It is a book to consult as the signs appear in the homestead. You see a shadow passing. You open the chapter on visual signs. You smell a strange scent. You open the chapter on olfactory manifestations. You have a recurring dream. You open the chapter on dream warnings. Each situation has a clear answer, a specific prayer, an exact spiritual gesture to be performed. It teaches the correct sequence for sealing every room in the homestead, the right way to start the day, to activate protection over every member, and the precise words to be decreed when you realize the attack is intensifying. The link remains at the top of the comments, pinned, waiting exactly for you who are feeling this intensification of the signs in your home. This content has already caused too much trouble. Efforts have already been made to keep it from reaching people like you. And precisely for that reason, it has become even more necessary in these times we are living in. Download it now and comment. I am one of the called, and I am going to download the guide. This public decree is, on the spiritual plane, a trench. You are telling the universe clearly which side you are on. Now that this commitment has been made, I am going to give you one of the most profound truths of this transmission, something that is usually reserved for the final minutes, because it is the final blow that reorganizes everything you believed about the smoke signals of the guardians. There is a specific type of sign that many of the called experience but mistake for physical symptoms, and thus miss the message completely. This sign appears as a sudden wave of heat coming from the chest without fever, without illness, without medical explanation. It is an internal warming accompanied by an almost incomprehensible peace. This is the rarest and most important sign. It is the guardian touching you directly, infusing your energy field with a seal of confirmation. It means that your deepest prayer, the one you didn't even dare to put into words, has been heard. It means the answer is coming. It means that heaven has just signed a decree in your favor. There is also the sign of the 3 knocks. You are alone in the homestead, or everyone is sleeping, and suddenly you hear 3 clear, rhythmic knocks coming from a specific place, usually an internal door or a wall. It is not the house creaking. It is not a neighbor. It is not a water pipe. It is 3 distinct intentional knocks with a pause between them. This is the oldest sign of angelic confirmation recorded in spiritual traditions dating back millennia. 3 knocks mean that something has been resolved on the higher plane, and soon this resolution will manifest on the material plane. It could be a healing. It could be a reconciliation. It could be a door opening. It could be an enemy retreating. When you hear these 3 knocks, stop everything you are doing, give thanks in silence, and prepare your heart, because the positive impact will arrive. And there is still the most mysterious sign of all, absolute silence. That strange moment when the homestead seems to enter a bubble, Outside sounds disappear, traffic noise vanishes, the hum of appliances seems to pause, and you feel for a few seconds that time has frozen. This is the silence of the guardians. It is when they take their positions in formation around the homestead, creating a capsule of pure protection. It usually happens shortly, before the major events of your life, decisions that will impact future generations, choices that will have eternal weight. When that silence occurs, you will feel it, and you will know, without needing an explanation, that you are being carried by invisible hands. But all of this, all these signs, all these codes, all this celestial language requires a basic prerequisite to function fully: your active consciousness, your awakened receptivity, your willingness to take seriously what heaven is saying. And it is exactly at this point that many of the called fail. They receive the signs, feel the manifestations, perceive the evidence, but do not take the next step. They do not seek the knowledge that organizes all of this. They do not study the rules of the spiritual game they are embedded in. And they end up living only on the edge of their own mission, without ever penetrating its core. You don't have to be like that. You are at exactly the right moment to take that step. Heaven brought you here. The signs confirmed it to you. The words you read were not random. Everything conspired for this instant to happen. And the digital book. The Family Protector's Holy Handbook is the natural continuation of this journey. It is the next stage. It is the bridge between what you feel and what you need to apply. Without it, you know that the signs exist, but without tools to respond. With it, you become a conscious interpreter of heaven's messages, a trained guardian of your own the homestead, a spiritual operator of the protection that falls upon your family. It teaches the specific names of the guardians assigned to each function of the home, the short and powerful prayers to activate each of them, the correct way to consecrate each, the kitchen, the bedroom, the living room, and the washroom, the ancient symbols of sealing that still work today, the daily steps to keep the house at a high frequency, and the emergency procedures for when you feel that the attack is intensifying. It is a complete, practical, direct manual. It doesn't beat around the bush, it doesn't fill space, it doesn't invent nonsense. It gets straight to the point. The link, I repeat once again because it is important, is at the top of the comments, pinned, waiting. This material has already faced attempts to be taken down because real knowledge sets you free, and there are systems that prefer you asleep, distracted, without protection. You will not give them that victory. You are one of the called. You have been called. You are responding. Download it now and comment, "I am one of the called, and I am going to download the guide." Seal this moment with your word. Carve this decision into the astral plane. Show heaven that you have heard, understood, and are willing to walk. And at this very moment, while you make this decision, observe what is happening in the homestead. Pay attention to the air, feel the temperature, look around. Perhaps a light flickered slightly. Perhaps you smelled a faint scent. Perhaps you heard a soft sound that wasn't there before. Perhaps your chest warmed up for no reason. Perhaps an inexplicable peace has descended. Do not ignore this. This is heaven confirming that it has received your answer. The Guardians have just released a new column of luminous smoke over the attic, announcing to the higher territories that one more of the called has awakened, one more house has been sealed, one more family has entered under redoubled protection. And nothing in your life will ever be the same again. The signs will intensify, but now with clarity. The attacks may try, but they will encounter walls. Your family enters a new era. Your home becomes a beacon. You become who you were always destined to be. Because the Guardians do not send smoke signals to just anyone. They send them to the called. And you have just confirmed with every word you read, with every heartbeat, with every decision made in this instant, that you are exactly one of them. Welcome to your true calling.